Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the same circuit, but the only parts of the circuit we're using is this top button and this LED. And I'm just gonna demonstrate in a more simple way how debouncing happens. So now if I click on this button, we can see that no matter what I do, I can click on and off, it always does the exact thing that I want. And the way that we're doing that is that we're setting a threshold for an amount of time where only one button press will make the LED do something. And if more than one button press happens within that time, it just gets ignored. This is also important, not just because we might press more often than we want, but these buttons are mechanical, which means that they might just have a noisy signal, and that's probably more likely the issue. If they're cheap buttons, they have a noisy signal, and we want to make sure that we're only sending a signal to the LED when we really want to be doing it. So let's go over to the Arduino code. And this example, you can just find it from examples, digital and debounce. Okay, so these two variables up here are just for button pin and LED pin. Okay, and then these are three variables that are going to record the LED state. So we have a state variable that says, is this LED on or off? A button state variable to say, is this button state pressed or not pressed? And then we have one to compare it to the last state of the button. And this is how we're going to figure out how long has it been since the last time this button's been pressed. Okay, so I have a serial begin in here just to check the variables. So in here, this local variable reading is going to take a reading from the button. So the first thing that we do is we check to see if this reading is not equal to the last button state. If it is equal to the last button state, then nothing's been pressed. So if it's 0 and then it continues to be 0, then no state changes happen. But if we go from 0 to 1, now we go inside of this if statement, and then we give last to bounce time a function called millis. And here, millis is the time from when you first ran the sketch. And this is just how we're going to keep track of time in this sketch. So when you press the button, last to bounce time will be given basically a timestamp. Okay, and that's what we're going to use to compare to the next time we press the button. So now, after that happens, we're going to compare the last to bounce time minus the current time, and only if that's greater than 50 milliseconds, the bounce delay, then we check to see if the button's been pressed, or we check to see what the state is. So then only if we're basically, for this first if statement, for this second if statement, we're filtering out anything that happens after the first button press within the span of 50 milliseconds. So then we go inside and we say, does the reading equal the button state? So does the current reading equal the button state? If it does, then make the button state equal the reading. And this is just a little bit of extra code to make it even a little bit more safe, so that we're only doing something if we're switching from one state to another state. Well, actually, you do really need this, because this first part right here that I'm highlighting is just saying, has it been long enough since I've pressed? Now it's saying, have we actually switched from one state to another? If we have, make the reading from the button equal the button state. So the button state is going to be true or false. Now, if that button state that you just got was high, change the LED state. So you could probably go in here and just set the LED state to high. Instead of, you could probably set the LED pin to high, but having an LED state that goes back and forth also just lets you, just guards you against any sort of weird mechanical issues that you might have with your actual LED also. So then after all that checking, you set the LED pin with the state, and then you save the next reading so that you can check it up here. Okay, so I'm going to run it again. And this is how it's done in a simple way. And if you want to do this, you can add this to your sketch. Okay, that's all for now.